Here we go. We got Stephen Matthews. Do you see this guy? They take a photo of him and he's not very upset. I don't know why he's red. Maybe he's drunk. I don't know. Or he got in a big old fight with them all. But he's not upset. There's a little smirk there. He's just like, eh. Okay, cardiologist accused of assaulting dozens of women used his dog, as an excuse to get victims back to his home. The attorney for victims of Denver cardiologist accused of meeting women on dating apps. See, I'm just saying, I didn't have a situation like this, but I had that serial killer type of guy that tried to take me to an ATM, which could be so and so. We don't know. But there was other stories of these guys doing stuff and they were trying to kind of set me up. There were some situations that I was like, yeah, dude, what the hell? But they ended up like setting up situations where the guy didn't have money and then he made the girl pay. He's like, oh, my card doesn't work. Like they were doing there used to be a forum where they talk about like who are the bad guys on these like dating sites, and they didn't have the apps yet, right? So I can imagine the apps being about a million times worse. Yeah, mostly for women. I don't know about guys. Guys might get some setup of some other garbage, but well, the gay ones, yeah, have been pretty bad from what I've been going through. I attract a lot of bad people. I'm like, I just do. Um, because I'm so nice and I just talk to everybody and that's the thing. But it's kind of like in the back of my head, I know something's kind of funky. Then drugging and raping them, okay? And so this has been a big, huge conversation of men doing this chronically. It's quite popular, isn't it? Uh-huh. That was the gaslight back in the day. I was like, I'm pretty sure. So I don't know what the hell happened. It's like I had a drink and then all of a sudden it's the next day and you're like, maybe I drank too much. You know what I mean? But you didn't know. You didn't know because they didn't have this conversation. But as we're seeing, this is a very common thing with men. Very common. It's just one of those things where they're like, try and catch me. Yeah. So they were drugging and raping them. Says there could be upwards of 60 victims. I'm not sure where they get 60 victims, but maybe they scoured through some stuff involved in a civil case against the doctor. I told you, you gotta watch out for them doctors. You almost have to be a somewhat of a sociopath to be some of these people. I cannot deal with cutting anything. So if you imagine they have like no response things to that. You need them though, right? You need people like that, but holy crap. So to what level, but yeah, I mean, I would almost expect I don't know. I've had very bad experiences with doctors and some of them have been major predators. And I did have one female one that was a predator. But when you look at the overall picture of it, it was like one to like the rest of them. So it's like 1% out of 99. I don't know what the actual percentage would be on that, but it could be more. And I could have overlooked some things actually in the earlier years from some stuff. Dr. Stephen Matthews, 36, faces 51 felony counts in criminal court in connection with 13 victims. He has entered a not guilty plea. Prosecutors say that as early as 2019. So it's not like this is done in 1992 and he's going to play, I had no idea this is bad. This is like one of the big conversations, right? 2019. So here's what you should be saying. Instead of saying this about victims, because I'm going to scream if I hear another person say that, and you're going to get flagged as a rapist. She knew what she was doing. That crap. If I read it, then I already know shit about you. What you should be saying, though, properly, is some from people who are not rapists, but anybody that says that kind of shit has a fucking problem. He knew what he was doing, right? He knew what he was doing. Mostly in this case, right? So we're talking about Mal. He knew what he was doing. The rapist knows what they are doing. It's not an oblivious crime that somebody didn't know what they're doing. So this is very calculated. It's very thought out. Because for me, I'm not a rapist and I would never go just randomly drug somebody and take advantage of them. It's a thought out thing. It's like, I'm going to concoct this plan. I'm going to take them over here and I'm going to slip this thing into them and I'm going to get them back to my house. That's his brain. That's his brain on Socio. Okay, Matthews would meet with women he met on, and isn't it very Ted Bundy, right? That's why I said there's not really much of a difference between Ted Bundy and a rapist, because he is a rapist. He just likes to kill people. Basically, these guys that do the drugging thing, you could actually die. So there's this level of, oh well, if you did, right? They wouldn't care. Matthews would meet the women he met on dating apps and slip something into their drink. The victims would often black out or become disoriented, which led them to being unable to remember most of their encounters with Matthews. How many of us had this happen? Probably a lot. If you didn't have this happen and you're still alive, it could still happen to you. So don't think that you're out of the woods. Some of the victims say Matthews sexually assaulted them. Police arrested Matthews in March 2023, charging him in connection with one victim. But soon after, he was arrested again as more women came forward. Matthews is being held on a $5 million bond and his criminal trial expected underway in March 2024. The Colorado Medical Board suspended his license as the case makes its way through the courts. Matthew had worked at Colorado Heart and Vascular. Stephen Berg is representing dozens of victims of Matthews in a civil case. He spoke with Jesse Weber for Law and Crime Sidebar podcast. Yeah, some of these podcast people, there's been a thing on it. I won't get in this huge thing here, but just beware of men fake crusading. I find it very disgusting, actually, that men get on crime cases like this when they're crimes typically mainly about men harming women. Like, there's something gross about it, and it's more of a entertainment thing to those people than it is for our gender that are the victims in the cases, right? And how they target us. And then you find out, like, the people that are into these, being the podcast hosts and those people, they tend mostly to be the perpetrators as well. Right? And they may not be caught right now, but yeah, there's a psychological thing with that. In fact, as they're talking about the psychopathy thing, right? How we think that most of those guys that were into it were actual psychopaths and they were trying to study themselves. And I was saying, yeah, the difference with us is that we're the victims of them. So I'm trying to figure out why they're that way and how to combat it and stop it. So that's a step beyond going, let's arrest them all, right? Because we do want to arrest them, but you don't want to create those monsters anymore. And so you want to go way, way down to the root of that thing and stop creating them, because you can't stop them as adults. I have found out a million times over, no matter what, they could sit there and play pretend that they're changed people or that they're on your side or that, all these different things. They do not change. And I was talking about some other celebrities too that, they're getting all this like hero worship because of something, but inside they're still a sociopath. And the way that they treat our gender. So they'll never change. And it's I have not seen one that has changed and then all of a sudden is no longer a sociopath. It just doesn't. I haven't met them. They claim they exist. I haven't met them. I have seen some try to be better. That's the only thing I've seen. But are they actually better? Hell no. No. Because I'll say something one day and then they go do the complete opposite. So yeah. No. So Berg says that, unfortunately, the stories his client tells him about Matthews are all very similar, right? He would build trust and then get them to have a drink. usually, I don't think people even think twice about it. I mean, it's like, why should you? We're supposed to think all these men are rapists. And I'm telling you, yes, they are actually. So, um, should we even be going on dates with any of them? Because it ended bad. I hadn't gone on a date in a long time in that one thing. It was a long time I hadn't gone. When was the last time I went? I had a couple dates in the early 2000s, and then there was like this period here where I was just like, because of that ATM thing, right? Because that was like, I think like one of the last ones for a while. It might have been something like that. Anyway, so it was like a little while, right? And so I go on this date, and that was already bad, right? So I go on another date, and then I get raped. I'm like, that's it. They're all bad, right? Because like you go like this. What are the chances, right? So if it's a thing where it's everybody, then yes, the chances are going to be extraordinarily high that something terrible is going to happen to you. Some type of violence, be it this, be it the ATM, whatever the hell that guy was going to do. All these things, right? So yeah, it was one of those things. And then I realized that all of them are, because everybody I'd talked to in the past, yeah, they have a history of doing horrible things. And it's not me. It's not, I mean, technically it's not my fault. Like, it's not my fault that they're all this terrible rapists and horrible people, like the Mansons and whatever. It's just, they just all are, right? So you're going to like one of them somewhere. And I'm not blaming myself for that, but I am kind of funny about on some of these people, like, why didn't something bother me? I think that's more bothersome to me than anything else. Like, if I seen something, why didn't I react to that? You know what I mean? It's sort of like this thing. So I'm just kind of analyzing that, but it's upsetting. It's upsetting. I will say, because I could do a lot of things on that. He was very savvy and able to build trust. He says, let's meet in a public place and talk about his dog, and then oftentimes use that as an excuse to head back to his house or apartment. See, in my case, I have to go back to the house to do some work for my boss, right? So I had that thing happen to me as a kid. And so now, this is a lure and trap. You could consider it mostly, okay, so if they're under the influence, and maybe they don't look at it like this, but it would be a proper way probably to look at it, is kidnapping. Because, okay, let's say they drugged you at a bar, right? And you don't even know what's happening now, right? And they lure you to some place that you can't consent now, right? Because you can't consent to sex. You can't consent to going anywhere. Now that would be legitimately kidnapping or abduction, whatever the term they want to use for adults. I just say kidnapping, but yeah. And so that's where that would come into play. I have seen it on cases used similarly to that, but I'm not seeing it here. It says, Berg says the women who didn't know what happened to them heard stories from other victims and things started to click into place for them. I wonder where they heard it from. I wouldn't even know how you would hear the stories of some guy doing that. Like, I don't know, maybe online somewhere. I don't know. They wanted to put this all behind them, but now they want to make sure and stand up and provide some change so that this doesn't happen again. Quite frankly, every time a story is run about this, there are more and more survivors coming forward saying, oh my gosh, I'm hearing about this for the first time and I want to do my part to make sure this doesn't happen anymore. Exactly. So I want to make a point that LA County purposely hid the police raping misconduct thing that's been going on. And they hid a case that was part of our case. And I thought that they all got fired. I thought this whole thing happened, right? Because I was lied to. And I had an incident happen to me, right? So I was thinking like, oh, well, if they all got fired, then I don't need to go put myself at risk and go do this damn report, right? Because it's telling me that they got busted for all their bad behavior, right? And they're no longer working. So what more could you ask for at that time, right? But they didn't put out the victim's information that someone got raped by one of the cops in the area, because if I had heard about that, then I would have stepped forward and gave the information that I know and tell them that I'm also a victim of this other incident and all these other things that I know about, right? So they didn't do that, and they purposely hid it down. I go, dude, there's a lot of victims in this, and because they didn't do that, no one's gonna do anything really. But they may have been more comfortable to come forward. I know I would have. I mean, I was going to. That was the thing, is that I was going to, and then there was some type of leak or something happened, and they all lied to me to say they all got busted, and come to find out, nobody actually got busted. Not even the rapist cop, you guys. All they did was pay out 100K or something to the victim and brushed it under the rug. And I was like, that totally did not happen, did it? Some of these survivors are going to have to talk about some of the most personal things in their life in a public setting. I am continually inspired by the strength of these survivors to come forward to take action to try to make this a better world for others. People don't see me as that. They see me as the worst thing on planet Earth. I'm glad, because that's to the rapists. The rapists hate me, and why would you want rapists to like you? No. Fuck no. You want to have them not like you at all and stay the fuck away. Berg told Weber he is representing multiple women in a civil lawsuit. He plans to name Match Group as one of the defendants. Match Group owns about 80% of the online dating market shares, and they own a number of specific apps, including Hinge and Tinder. And so, one of the failures of Match Group was when Matthews was reported as a rapist, he continued to be on their website for multiple years afterwards. Wow. Yeah, they should have some responsibility. These websites definitely should have had responsibility. Because when we went out on those dates, the guy could have scammed me where I could have gotten in trouble. Luckily, it didn't happen to me. I was so scared because I had a board and it said that he took somebody out and then the card didn't work. And it happened with me too. Like, we were at this restaurant and it didn't work. And I was like, well, I'm just going to wait. Well, I can't, whatever. I'm not going to pay for his stupid shit. So he's like sitting there messing around. And then finally he got something he was able to pay, right? And I was embarrassed. The guy was embarrassing just generally, and he wasn't good looking. I never seen him before, right? He didn't put his photo up. That was the other thing. Don't go on dates with nobody putting their photo up. I was just like, you don't know why they're doing it. It could be because they're a known person, right? That could happen. It could be a number of reasons, but yeah, they didn't put her photo up. And so I meet him. I'm like, Jesus Christ, but he was like claiming that he dated these certain celebrity girls. And I was like, if they did, it would only I don't know. It was such a strange thing. But then he's just a pathological liar. And then his tags are expired. And he presented himself as a wealthy Sutton, and he has a mansion in Pasadena. And yeah, and then he paid for something. And when he paid for something, he did it by a check. And I called the company. I go, oh my God, did the check go through? Because if it didn't, let me know. I will pay you. Because they're like, why is something wrong? I was like, I don't know. The Sutton. But no, nothing happened on my thing. But the other girls, they did. And then, yeah, so when the girls had something to complain about, they should have banned him from the site because he was a total criminal. And then I believe there probably were rapes and all sorts of, it was a weird, side site to the main dating site. I don't know if it was together or if it was a separate forum that was just made to go along with the site by somebody else. Because they didn't have all these safety things yet. Because it was a brand new time when they started making these sites up. So when it first started up, we were all, oh, let's go try it out. They were. And I was like, why not? I mean, what is it, dinner? Berg says the report was made by a victim after an assault, but before criminal charges were filed. The victim was told Matthews would be removed from the app, but Berg says that didn't happen. What's been reported is horrible and has no place on our platforms or anywhere, Match Group said in a statement. At Match Group, we are committed to help keep our community safe, and we continually work to improve our system to help prevent bad actors from accessing our platform. Yeah, but you know what tends to happen with this stuff? They target us, the victims, because they don't like us being mad and going after these guys. I mean, it's just the truth. That's what's been going on, right? Am I the one out raping everybody? Am I the one out killing everybody? Am I the one making people, just doing all these things, right? But for some reason, every piece of shit on these platforms wants to target me in their programming. It's insane. Like, I was sitting there explaining, like, just an example, like on Instagram, I was explaining the hate speech that we get every day. They turned around and pounded me for hate speech. And I'm like, I'm dead. And then they said I was bullying myself. Basically, they said I was bullying someone or something. And I was talking to myself in a story, right? So I told them, right? So I sent a thing to them. And then they're like, we still see this as hate speech. I was like, okay, well, I mean, if you're going to do that and take it out of context, because there is context there. There's a story about somebody there, and there was a group of men that did something really shitty, and I said the men are trash. That almost got me totally banned. Do you think that's proper? No. That's like me saying F the neo-Nazis. Something like that, right? It would be on the line of that, because they are my Nazis. Okay, so if you're going to be raping us all, abusing the legal system, doing these things to be able to intimidate us, no, you're trash. How is it hate speech? But that's what these platforms are doing. So I like to kind of push the limits sometimes. It's like, where are we going with this? Yeah, so no. Am I trying to fuel violence on them? No, but I do promote that you have the right to defend yourself. So what does defending myself look like? Oh, everything that would probably break your fake ass rules. Okay. I just want to point it out because every time they say something like that, it sounds all good and dandy, right? But then what ends up happening is it targets the victims. It just always does. I don't know, but it does. Our teams use a combination of automated tools. Yeah, right there. So guess who creates the automated tools? Yeah, this was the interesting thing because I looked into that stuff. A bunch of stupid ass men and a couple of Karens. So they're the ones that create the tools, put male supremacy in it, and then target all the victims. And a human moderation. So then the human moderator, when you complain about it, goes and reads only that out of context, right? So they don't read the entire context of what we're talking about. And then sometimes they do read the entire context and completely disregard it. So Instagram did that. So I just want to point them out because we already talked about Twitter's bullshit, and then we found out they were all corrupt and shit on the inside, and then with FBI. Yeah, of course. I told you. I smell FBI in there. Well, Eline said they were in there. He doesn't give a shit about me. That was just a side thing. I go, no, when I was talking to them in private, I go, they're on fucking Twitter, dude. Because they asked me a question about something that was on my Twitter. We have fully cooperated with law enforcement and will continue to. You are cooperating with people that are my abuser. See, but they disregard that stuff. It's like, do I want you to cooperate with law enforcement? Not for our stuff. I wouldn't. Do you ask the victims? I have a problem with that right there. Do you ask the victims if you're because basically what they're doing is law enforcement is my perpetrator, right? So then they're giving information about their victim to my perpetrator. So I don't believe that little system there is proper. I think you should talk to the victims and what they want to do with it, maybe. But depending on the situation, right? Here it works out for them, but not my stuff, it wouldn't. And we'll continue to provide information to them that will be helpful for their investigation. Law enforcement and my stuff will make sure that they cover everything up. That's just facts. So we have a problem here and they're ignoring it. Bergs believes there may be more victims who have not yet come forward but may want to. His law firm encourages anyone who believes that they've been sexually assaulted contact Stephen Matthews, okay? Also, when they do the law enforcement thing, if you have a problem with the celeb, guess who they're gonna look at as the perpetrator of this shit. So they've been continually doing hate speech, calling women gold diggers, right? That is hate speech. Hello. The law enforcement, who are rapists themselves, go and look at the victim as the perpetrator making stuff up, harassing that poor celebrity. Yes, that's totally their mindset. But in my case, they know that we did have a relationship. So I'm just saying they're gonna they if they want to play that shit. But outside that, yeah. Because they don't like little sluts, right? You were on this dating app. You asked for it. Why'd you take drinks from a guy? That's them in the background. Let's just be real. Okay, so if they did report it, maybe we should read this. Well, they didn't think it was so horrible at the beginning, did they, right? Because they didn't do anything. And when they got that information, did they give it to the police right away? Now, maybe they could have. And then the police were like, I don't know, dude. But, yeah, this is a bad case. But I thought I'd bring it up because it's another dating app shit that I'm telling women, don't do it. Just don't do it. Because this is the guy that you probably wouldn't even, like, expect. They all do it. I mean, it's the guy I would expect, but it's like they all do it. I had some creepy ass dentists. I had creepy ass doctors. I had fucking creepy ass lawyers. Every person under all these professions where everybody's like, oh, they're the greatest and, best in this community. They're all fucking rapists. And they take advantage of women. The doctors mostly. Okay, so back in the day, when you didn't have health insurance, these doctors and other people were taking advantage of that situation. They were heavily taking advantage of that situation. They haven't been caught yet, but eventually maybe you might get a Me Too. That stuff was in the 90s, you guys. So these guys would be in their 50s, the 60s, the 70s maybe now. It wouldn't surprise me, like a whole bunch of women randomly coming out going, oh yeah, that doctor did this to me. Like, I would name some doctors if I could fucking remember them. But at the time, it was just like, oh, those guys are like shady as shit. And then long forgotten. You know what I mean? It's that thing. So it's pretty difficult. But the people that had more of a relationship with those people, they know. And they heavily preyed on girls. It was kind of their way to get a girl and then use their business as an opportunity to try to get them. They used it as a lure to get a girl and then present things that they were not capable of getting, like medical, right? And then they would give them, do treatments or whatever, that thing in exchange for whatever. Like, so the girls are victims actually in that. Because it was a abuse of power and also taking advantage of people that are less fortunate. And technically, because a lot of people didn't have health insurance or whatever these, things that they're getting from the people. Yeah, that was quite prevalent. There was a lot of that going on, in the 90s. Mainly, I remember noticing it in the mid to the late 90s. And I would assume probably in the early 2000s and maybe even still today. Yeah, they came into the human trafficking ring and did that. Into that ring of clubs. Yeah. Just so you guys know. Mostly. There was a couple of creepsters that were outside of that, but they're all bad. That's why they sit there and go online. Well, who do you think is going online going, women lie, we need more evidence, all this, because you know what's going on in their mind with the evidence thing? We can go through this right here, right? So he's all thought out, right? He's thought out. He's like, I'm going to slip this in their drink because there's going to be no evidence that I did that, right? So he thinks he's being as slick as possible, right? So then he goes online. He'll be the one that goes online. I don't know if you could find any comments of him saying this, but it'd be wonderful if you could. But he'd be the one that goes online and goes, where's the evidence that I did that? It was consensual. La, 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 la. Right? Can you prove that I slipped a thing in her drink? Yeah, that. Because I had it done to me in that 2005 thing. And I was like, I don't even care if I was fucking drunk. I was still knocked out. So it's still rape. And I just said, watch your drinks, ladies. Because even if it was just a drink, It wasn't. It definitely wasn't. There was something in it. But they were like, if she starts saying that he raped her, we're gonna beat her up, and this crap, this crap, this crap. I'm like, well, that's what happened. So why would I say it? It's just stupid. And I kept saying, I go, it's so odd because I went over to the house. It wasn't somebody trying to get me over to the house, like trying to force me and do this thing. I was like, oh, and go back over there, it's still early, whatever, the night, whatever. And so I was like, what a fucked up thing to do. Because it wasn't like they're trying to force me to go, you know what I mean? That thing. The mindset was so effed up here because it was like, no matter what, this person needed to do something against your will. And that mindset, like I started to learn about the rapist mindset really right here, but it was so effed up. So then I started going through these cold cases and things and learning about these like socios. And then, yeah, now I read them all the time. I go, oh, this is a major problem. It's like everyone. Versus them trying to go, oh, there's a few out here. No. And it's a global crisis. And I would say it's like the number one major PD that everybody has on a scale for sure. And it's the most dangerous thing ever. So why are they focused on some random person on the street, like with a drug problem or something? You know what I mean? It's not them running around killing everybody. It's not them running around murdering everybody. It's not them running around raping everybody. It's not them giving everybody mental illness, right? So for some reason, and then they want to be upset about the mass shootings, right? Which that's correlated to that right there. They don't want to do anything about it. Because it takes away men's power. Like the whole thing about it. Like you have to be a sociopath to be going on like that, right? Yes. So, yeah, this guy big time, right? He's not dumb. This guy's not dumb. He just took advantage and thought it out and knows that everybody does it. And here's the other scary thing with this guy. All his friends may do it. Because we notice in the Ashton Kutcher thing and all that, all those guys are a piece of shit. Even Danny's wife. Holy you know what. What the hell was that? Earlier stuff, you guys. They make sense together. If you don't know the history of that, because I didn't till the other day. Oh no. All these people should have been busted. Every single one of them for their conduct.